Tony, thank you for being here, man.
Thanks for having me.
Damn, brother. I just want everybody to know your story. I want everybody to know you. You were recruited in the academy when I was teaching there.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just amazing how the people that come through and then how you reconnect later on in life. But your story of resilience and just your mindset, and you're a role model, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. Never thought it would happen like that. But yeah, the story, it's kind of evolved over the last 2 years. You know, the injury happened almost 2 years ago, and it's not something I ever expected. I don't think anybody can expect something like that. But just the lessons, there's so many lessons I've learned as far as recovering physically from the injury, mentally, but how it affects the people involved, not just yourself, which ironically it affects, it's contagious. Trauma's contagious. So it's affected the ones around me more than it's affected me.
Now, you're talking about family, or you're talking the other officers that were there as well, or both?
Everyone. Other officers, people on the other side of the world are contacting me through social media. My family, my wife, my kids, the officers that were on my squad that night.
Right.
They're all affected. Officers in the department in some way, shape, or form are affected. Yeah, there's a lot of takeaways from what happened as far as law enforcement goes, your family life, being healthy, being fit, how to live a better life, how to essentially prepare for something like this, which sounds weird. How do you prepare for a traumatic injury? But it's actually quite simple, and it's a lot of common sense. And we were talking about that before. A lot of common sense goes into it.
Well, share that with us, because you're talking about being prepared, and well that as a cop, we're always thinking worst case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the worst case scenario. So how do you prepare for something like this, Tony?
Right, and you can prepare on a surface level. You can prepare as much as you can at work. Being tactically oriented, not getting complacent, really taking in and honing the skills that are taught in the academy. The stuff you used to teach me when I was coming in. Obviously, I didn't listen to all of it because I got smoked. But you try to prepare as much as you can, but you can't prevent everything, right? You can't prevent an individual running away from you and in concealment pulling out a firearm and shooting you in the head from 5 feet away. You like to think that I was on the SWAT team, I was tactically oriented, I'm RoboCop, but that's just apparently that wasn't the case. You can't prepare for everything in this job.
Now, Tony, a lot of people may not be familiar with the actual incident, but this was a robbery suspect, right? DV suspect?
DV and vehicle theft.
Vehicle theft.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you end up getting involved in that particular call?
So it was night shift. I'm a supervisor. I'm a sergeant. I have a squad of 4 guys that night. 4 guys, one gal. They were going to a domestic violence call. Potentially the boyfriend stole the vehicle, but we had been there before. May have been a civil issue. She may have given him permission before. So there's a gray area. We work in the gray a lot. So my guys were going out to confirm that this in fact was a stolen vehicle and not a civil issue, because we don't want to push the envelope and try to catch somebody and get injured or injure someone when it's technically someone got permission to drive the vehicle in the first place. So going out to eval, determine it is stolen. They find the vehicle in a parking lot. Our person we're looking for also beat up our victim, the person who called, and potentially assaulted the kids. I didn't see where the investigation went with that. Anyway, find the person. I say, hey, you guys, you go in the grocery store. We found his vehicle. The girl in the vehicle, who was his girlfriend, a different girlfriend, said, hey, he's in the Ralph's. So we come up with a quasi plan. I say, hey, you guys go in and try and grab him and detain him safely. If he comes out, I'll chase after him. He happens to run out. I give chase. As he's running away, he apparently pulls out a firearm, The angle I was chasing him at, I did not see it.
You didn't see it.
I did not see it. Yeah. He runs through some shopping carts and then armchair quarterbacking in retrospect. I shouldn't have ran around instead of chasing right behind him. So you could armchair quarterback everything. I should have cut the pie, but I chased after him. He was hopping over a retaining wall about, shoulder height. And I was right behind him. I was going to jump off it. I was planning on jumping off that retaining wall and just tackling him.
Okay.
But as I went up to grab the retaining wall, he had pulled out his firearm, which is a Glock 40, and he discharged it, and it shot me right in the head, and the bullet went in my head, and it's still there.
It's still there.
And I fell down, and it got lodged in the right side of my brain, which controls the left side of your body.
Right.
In the most simplest terms. And the left side was shut off completely, paralyzed. And my officers exchanged gunfire with him, and he succumbed to his injuries at the scene. And they said, "Hey, where's Sarge?" And they came and scooped me up, pulled me back, and then put me in the ambulance. And I'm fast forwarding, a lot happened in between there, but they put me in the ambulance, took me to the hospital, and then it was recovery from there. But, we can get into what's really important and what's not important, things I thought about when I was laying on the concrete. But essentially, that's what happened.
Well, that's just the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
That we think, and to the majority of us, it never happens.
Right.
But you know what? I don't even know how you can prepare for that.
Well, I'll tell you. You can't.
Please tell me.
It's not necessarily specifically a gunshot to the head. Most people who get shot in the head, unfortunately, don't survive. I'm very lucky. I don't know why I'm so lucky, if it was a miracle or what. Wasn't a religious person before. I'm trying to be now, because that was some kind of divine intervention. However, going through the recovery process, I went to a really nice hospital in Colorado called Craig Hospital, which they specialize in neurology and how that's attached to everything. So it's physical therapy with the neurology specifications. So having a bullet go in your brain, a lot of neural connections get disconnected and rewired. So it's incumbent upon you to make new neural pathways. So essentially, I want to move my left arm. I have to reconnect a new neural pathway around the bullet, around the damaged area, back down into my arm to make my arm work again.
Wow.
The way they do that is they make you multitask. So, hey, Tony, you're going to balance on one leg, or you're going to balance on one arm and one leg while picking up jacks while saying your ABCs. So they're trying to get me to multitask and spark new neural pathways to essentially learn how to walk and grab. I had to learn how to do everything.
All over again.
I had to learn how to walk. I had to learn how to write. I had to learn how to talk. There's a lot of brain fog. I had to learn how to think. Like, they would show me pictures of like animals, and I'd get some of that wrong. Like, they show me a picture of like a seahorse, and I said horsefish, and just things I knew. Like, they'd show me pictures of like I can't even think of it now. It was like something that would hold flowers, like a trellis.
Okay.
And I would just not know the names of certain things, and so I had to learn how to think again and walk and pick stuff up. And I couldn't look to my left. I could only look to my right for a while.
You could turn your head. You just couldn't look. Your eyes couldn't look to the left.
So if I would look, I wouldn't notice anything over here. And I was right eye dominant. I was right side dominant. So I would only turn this way, and I would run into walls. I could see, but I would still run into walls on my left side because the neural pathway hadn't been connected yet. I had to learn how to balance a checkbook. I had to learn how to do all the stuff I used to know how to do.
How long was this process in Colorado? How long were you there?
So
Because the incident happened December 23rd, right?
No, it happened on December 7th.
2023. Okay.
Yeah, December 2023.
Correct.
December 7th, 2023. I was in Scripps Hospital in La Jolla, which I just spoke at a conference there, which was great. I was there to the 23rd, I think, or the 21st.
All right.
And then they were working with workers' comp to get me over to Craig Hospital because workers' comp doesn't go across state lines.
Right.
So they're trying to figure that cluster. So the CEO of Scripps, Van Gordon, and a great guy, and our workers' comp, they were working really hard, and Chief Nislight worked his ass off, and I don't know if it was like his going away thing, like that was his little project as he was on the outs, but he did a lot of work for me to get the care I needed, which was fabulous. Anyway, I left San Diego the 21st or 23rd, I can't remember. And then I went to Craig Hospital in Denver, which is actually, I think it's called Englewood, which is like their version of southeastern San Diego.
Okay.
If I were to use geography as a comparison. And I was there. When I got there, they said, hey, expect to leave here in a wheelchair. And I was like, okay.
The medical staff said this to you.
Yeah, I was like, that sucks. So they're retrofitting me for my home wheelchair. And I start talking to your landlord about getting ramps at your house.
Okay.
I was like, this sucks. I don't want to be in a wheelchair. And my two little baby boys are still trying to play with me, but I'm stuck in a wheelchair. And something my wife said to me, because I kept asking, like, do you think I'm going to be able to walk? Do you think I'm going to all the doctors? And they can't give me a crystal answer. My wife said, just stop asking people if you're going to be able to walk again. Just make the decision yourself. And that was like very powerful to me. I still get emotional thinking about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And she brought that up, and I was like, all right, well, I'm going to effing walk. I want to be in a wheelchair. So they had me there for, I think it was 2 months. I left in under a month.
Under a month.
Yeah. So that was the plan. Had me there for 2 months, leave in a wheelchair, get me somewhat independent. Like I can reach for food. I can push my wheelchair around. I can drink water, make me like independent, in a wheelchair.
In a wheelchair.
But then I ended up leaving. I think it was between 3 and 4 weeks. I ended up leaving walking.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But when I hear you say that your wife told you just to make it happen yourself.
Yeah.
Hey man, how important is that family connection?
It's I think the most important thing. And we talk about how to prepare for something like this. And part of your podcast is officers and first responders and people being physically fit and working on yourself and being the best version of yourself you can be physically and mentally. That's essentially how you recover from something like this. And it's not just at the gym. It's not just what you put in your body, nutrition wise. It's how you deal with your life while you have a life. And what I mean by that is a lot of officers, a lot of first responders, we get caught up in the job and the career, and that's great to be motivated, to be career motivated. That's the type of people we want protecting us at night, going through alleys when everyone else is sleeping,
100%.
in their warm beds. We want motivated individuals looking for stuff, right?
Right.
And a lot of that goes hand in hand with working lots of overtime, trying to make the good arrest, trying to get this qualification, staying late to show that you're motivated. And that looks good at work, and it is good at work, and that's healthy to do at work. However, there's a give and take, not just in law enforcement, but in all careers when you're trying to get ahead like that. Mm-hmm. It starts to make your family life suffer a little bit.
Right.
And you start to lose track of what's really the most important thing in your life. You spend most of your time at work, at least as a motivated police officer, and you go home to your family, and you get marginalized time with them.
Right.
And we lose track of what's important. And when I got shot and I was laying on the concrete that night, I thought I was dying. I was, woozy. I was still conscious. I felt the warm blood coming down my face. One of my officers had their finger in the bullet hole in my head.
Okay.
And the only thing I could think of was they were legitimate flashbacks. There was my boys playing hockey in the street, mm-hmm. and my wife just looking all beautiful. Like that's all I could see was just my boys and my wife. Couldn't think of anything else. That was just flashing in my mind. I'm like, God, this is And all I could think was, I just want another chance. I just want to recover and not take any of that for granted anymore. You know, like
Right.
this job's great. I love the job, but I wasn't thinking about being on the SWAT team. I wasn't thinking about all the cool arrests I made and all the cool things I did. None of that. I just thought about my family. And so to go back to your question, is the family is so important, because when you're trying to recover, one of the things that I had a psychologist at Craig. I had a whole team, right? Everybody was all about me.
Yeah.
I had a whole team, all this attention, people to wipe my butt, people to talk to me, people to carry me places and motivate me. But one person on the staff was a psychologist, and he said that there's two types of people. There's people that don't recover, and there's people that recover.
Okay.
And you put them in two categories. So you have people that recover in category A, and then people who don't recover in category B. So people in category A have a super healthy family group. So a husband, for example, has a great relationship with his wife. They're on a really good note. Good relationship with the kids. They come home, the kids all come run to hug him. He's not a drinker, or
Not
at
a
least
drinker.
not a drinker.
Okay.
Or at least maybe he'll do it at a wedding or once in a while.
Okay.
But you're not coming home from work and having a beer, having a glass of whiskey, and you're coming home as the kids are running to you, and you're just jumping right into the family life.
Right.
I know it's important for cops to come home and decompress, and that can take on many different faces. But when you have a super healthy family life, and you don't drink, and you don't have substance abuse issues, that's essentially, you don't have a lot of baggage.
Right.
And so when you get injured, like this, a traumatic injury, and you're in a wheelchair, and you have all these new stressors and all these new things you have to overcome, if you have that added substance abuse issues, your wife's pissed at you because you spent the whole 2 years before that drinking and being an a-hole, the kids don't have a good relationship with you, then it's just, you're not going to recover well. And that's what he said. The people who did have all those issues, one, now they have to fix all of that baggage,
Right.
while at the same time finding the time to get motivated to recover from this injury. That's really stressful. And then one very important thing I didn't mention is the people in category A also had a very healthy physique, healthy body, healthy mind when they got injured.
So a fitness regimen.
100%. So when I got injured, I had just finished my second SWAT academy. And the reason I went through two is I went through one as a police officer. And then the next year I got promoted as a sergeant. I had to do it all over again.
All over.
And the
again.
SWAT academy it's really hard. It's like basic training on steroids, a lot of shooting, a lot of push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, running, dehydration. So my body was in tip-top shape the night I got shot. So when I got injured, I didn't have to worry about getting athletically motivated. I didn't have to find some motivation I didn't have before with my athleticism, my healthy go-getter mind. I already
Right.
had that. I already had the groundwork. I already did my homework. I was used to hardship. So it sounds ridiculous, but I was super great with my wife, super great with my kids, wasn't drinking, wasn't smoking cigarettes or tobacco. I was super athletically fit. It was the best time to get shot in the head. And it sounds ridiculous, but it was the best time to get shot in the head, you know? And that was like 50, I was like 50, like I got shot in the head. I was already 50% recovered. Does that make sense? Everything was
It
there
makes sense
already.
when you say it.
Yeah.
It makes sense when you say
Yeah.
it, because when I talked to you earlier, just your whole attitude is what I can see help you recover, because you're not taking anything real serious. However, you're all about business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's another thing is you cannot take yourself too seriously. And that segues into a lot more things like like doing things that make you feel uncomfortable and that are hard. And that's something I talk about a lot, capitalizing on these growth opportunities, right? So like public speaking, let's say, I never did any. Now I'm trying to do as much as I can because it makes me feel uncomfortable. And now I've brought what I've learned at this recovery at the hospital, things that make you feel uncomfortable equal good. So when I was lying there in the wheelchair in the bed, and a tech or a nurse or a PT person would come in, occupational therapist would go, hey, Tony, do you want to do this? You have the option to say, I don't really want to do that. I just want to relax.
Yeah.
But I've learned that as soon as someone asks me to do something that makes me uncomfortable, that's something that's hard that I don't want to do, I automatically say yes. And that was my process with a grain of salt. I mean, someone asks you to jump off a cliff, you're not going to do it. Someone asks you, hey, let's smoke this joint, you're not going to do it.
Within reason.
Within reason. It's let's be adults here and be responsible. But when someone asks me to do something hard, it's like a tracer round. Like that's a red flag goes off. Like I should do that thing because it's only going to benefit me. And it's going to benefit me even more when I do it and I F it up and I fail. Because then I can say, oh, you know what? This is who I am. This is what I tried to do. This is where I messed up. I didn't do it right. This is what I need to do differently. And then you keep trying, you keep shortening that gap. And then finally you're going to become an expert at it and you're going to be good at it at least.
Right.
And that's the mentality I've carried with me from there. And I was kind of already doing that. Sorry to segue, but before this injury, I was doing hard things when people asked me to do hard things. And
for example.
So like, you know, as a young police officer, there's a lot of different types of radio calls, juvenile stuff, sex crime stuff, elder abuse stuff, statutory stuff, where there's like, you need to know the laws, like things I didn't know how to do. Other people wouldn't go to those calls. They'd sit there on their board and they'd hang there for hours because people wouldn't respond because they didn't want to look stupid because they went to a call and they just fumbled it and they didn't want to look like idiots. I didn't take myself too seriously. I was like, I'll go do it. Like, I don't know how to do that. I want to learn. 9 times out of 10, I'd go and F it up. And I would fail at it. And people were like, well, Tony, you should have did it this way, this way, this way. But now next time that call came out, I went back and maybe screwed it up a little bit, but at least did a lot better. And I kept doing it. Eventually, I was the guy who knew how to do that stuff. And that would segue into, oh, the SWAT Academy's coming. Do you want to do it? I'm like, no, I just had surgery like a year and a half ago. Like, I shouldn't do it. I was like, you know what? Not like, what better time than the present? Like, that seems like something hard. Let's go do it. They said, hey, you just made sergeant. Do you want to still be on the SWAT team? You have to go through the SWAT Academy again. A lot of people the next year would be like, no, not really. But no, I did it anyway. Before the police, I went to SEAL training. I went to BUDS.
Okay.
Failed out of that in Hell Week. I got hypothermia twice. Most painful, but best time of my life. Regret, ringing the bell every day. But I learned a lot about myself.
Okay.
I know I'm not going to quit in those situations anymore. And I have not quit in a situation like that ever since. So going through that and failing, I was pissed at the time, but very happy I did it because I learned so much about myself and so much about being resilient and what I need to work on and X, Y, Z. And yeah, that's just the kind of the mindset you need to have to prepare for something like this, is to live hard and do stuff that makes you uncomfortable and fail at stuff. That's just what you need to do.
So if you stick to it and you overcome all adversity that encounters you, and even if you fail, you're still learning from that.
And that's the key. You're not going to overcome all adversity. You're going to fail at a huge chunk of adversity, but that's part of the fun. And if you take yourself too seriously and you worry about what people think about you, then you're missing out on so many opportunities,
Yeah.
It's like everything you do is like working out your muscles. You tear those microfibers, the tiny muscle tissues, and they grow back bigger essentially.
Allegedly.
Yeah. If you do it right, if you get rest, water, sleep, and nutrition, which I don't because I have 3 kids.
Oh.
But you're going to fail at most stuff, and that's good. That's good. You want to fail. I'm looking for stuff to fail at. I'm looking for stuff to fail at. Because if you're in your comfort zone and you're just operating in your comfort zone, you're going to get soft and you're not going to be prepared when shit really hits the fan and you need to take care of business when things actually get hard in life. Because you don't know, as a father, as a parent, God forbid one of my kids gets sick. It's going to be the worst day of my life. Or God forbid I break my foot or my wife breaks her shoulder. Now I have to work full time and handle all the kids. And like, if you just been living a soft life, not challenging yourself, only doing stuff that you're good at, then you're gonna crash and burn when something like that happens. I promise.
You're gonna have a meltdown.
You're gonna have a meltdown.
Yeah.
And your family life's gonna suffer. Your whole life's gonna suffer because if you're used to living in the chaos or used to living in the stress and the adversity, when something comes your way and it hits you, it's honestly gonna be another day. And with this injury, I've had so many injuries. I've torn both pecs. I've torn the supraspinatus tendon in my right shoulder twice. I've had ACL surgery. I've broken my nose. I've hurt myself a lot. And just on that note, when I got shot in the head and I got paralyzed, once I was able to wiggle my toe, I'm like, oh, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. Because now it's just recovering.
Okay, so
I've done this a million times.
Where were you when you finally were able to wiggle your toe?
So when I was in the hospital in Scripps here,
okay,
before I left, I was looking at my wife. I'm like, hey, babe, look. And I just gave her a little thumbs up. Like all I could do was just move my thumb like that. And then when I got to, I believe it was when I got to Craig. No, it was at Scripps still. It's all hazy. I'm half disabled. That's fine. If you make fun of me, it's a hate crime now because I'm disabled. So I'm a protected class.
It is.
Yeah.
So, I'm laughing out of nervousness, not because I'm making fun of you.
No, it's fine. It's
right.
you got to treat this lightly. If you take yourself too seriously, you're not going to succeed. But no, it was at Scripps, and my mentality was I could wiggle my toe. If my brain's up here and my toe's down there and I can wiggle my toe, there's a really good chance I can recover from this. And I could segue into the whole, I thought I was being really tough during this whole situation and working my butt off. But there's a lot of people who get spine injuries, get certain head injuries, where they don't get that inch, right? They don't get that movement back in their toe. And it's severed. And it's just not possible. And for me, I got an inch by God or by whoever gave me that inch. So gosh darn you if you don't take a mile. If God gives you that inch, do it for the people who weren't given that inch, Right. If you're given something, you better work your ASS off to get everything else back. Because if you don't, then you're giving up an opportunity God gave it to you, because not everybody gets that opportunity. And for me, I got that opportunity. I worked my butt off. I had to establish as many neural pathways as I could as the brain swelling went down.
Okay.
And as the brain swelling goes down, you have to reestablish neural pathways in the meantime. So you're on a clock. So yeah, I worked my butt off and I said yes to things I didn't want to do that were hard. And yeah, and feel free to rein me in because I go off on tangents.
No. This is exactly what I expected.
Yeah,
to have this candid conversation. Now, tell me a little bit of what it was like once you got home, because I saw one of the videos that San Diego PD put out, and a lot of cops were at the airport waiting for you. Just like in the old days where you would wait by the by the gate.
Well, I was half brain dead when I came home for that, and everyone was there, and I kind of showed up and I put on my best face, but I was not. My eyes felt sunken in, and I was still half brain dead. I still went to this thing called Scripps Brain Therapy after that.
Okay,
it was outpatient therapy, so I went to brain camp, as they call it. So when everyone came to see me, it was great. I was very. And then the motorcade going home, and it was wild. It was awesome. But I was like, my head felt like it was splitting open, and I could barely walk because my leg is still numb right now. Still learning to walk. That was my first big outing, going through the airport and stuff like that. But he got home, got the big greeting, which was awesome. And got home, got a greeting at my house, and got hugs from all the neighbors and all the neighbor kids, and everyone helped me out of the cars, and it was great. And then once all the smoke cleared and everyone went home, it was my time to kick it up a notch and get better. And when I was at the hospital, I started making Instagram posts.
I saw that.
To make fun of myself. I'm like, if I get in trouble making fun of myself, then this is ridiculous. So I figured if I just make fun of myself, I can't get in trouble at work. So that's kind of what I did. I didn't know if I was going to get better. So I'm like, I need a side gig. Maybe I can be an influencer somehow in a wheelchair, So I was starting that groundwork for the side gig. And then people ask me, why aren't you doing Instagram anymore? And I tell them it's because it's kind of served its purpose. I got better. I've never been a big Instagrammer. I didn't know how to use it until I started using it in the hospital bed. And I just stopped. I was working out in the gym in my garage one day, and I was making a reel for my Instagram. And my littlest one, walked by me, did something super cute, and I didn't even notice because I was in my effing phone. So I just threw my phone down. I'm like, I'm done with this Instagram stuff. I'm recovered. I don't need to do it anymore. So that's why I stopped doing the Instagram, because I didn't want to be a hypocrite. And say family's the most important thing, and then just be on my phone making reels and trying to go viral. But there is, content creation. There's a means to an end for that, and you can do it the right way and still maintain your family life. And I just haven't figured out a way to juggle that yet. My kids are too small still. Once they grow up, I'll probably get back into it and try and figure something out. But once I got home, it was a lot of PT on my own and going to this brain therapy thing, which is mostly for my brain. Not necessarily physical therapy. But shout out to the guys and gals there at Scripps Outpatient Physical Therapy, my occupational therapist, she was a yoga instructor, and my physical therapist. They were great. They pushed me to the limits, and it was great. But hands down, this goes back to what I was talking about before, having good ties and good connections with your family. The best therapy I've ever had was doing the nighttime routines with the kids and to just juggling my two boys, picking them up, putting them down, putting them to bed, putting their clothes on, carrying upstairs during a temper tantrum, having to balance on the steps while they're doing the stiff board thing. That was the best therapy I've ever had. 'Cause 1, it was physical. 2, I had to regulate my emotions. 3, it was not about myself. I was multitasking. So that's why I tell people, have kids on top of all that other crap I talked about. Is have kids too, because they were hands down the best therapy recovery asset I had during this whole process. They don't give a flying F if you're in a wheelchair.
Right.
They're coming, I'm in the wheelchair in the hospital, they're hitting me, jumping off the hospital bed onto me. My kid hit me with a wiffle ball bat in the head right on my injury. They don't give a F. So you have to figure it out with kids. And that's essentially what it is. I figured it out. And that's my wife coming out right now. Anytime something's hard or multitasking or something's got to get done, I'll be, babe, I don't have time. So just figure it out. And she just held me to the highest standard, even when I was incapacitated or whatever you want to call it. When I was on my worst day, she still held me to a high standard. I had no choice but to recover. I had no choice but to recover for my kids, because they didn't give me any wiggle room. And that's why I say have kids. For any young guys out there, have kids, because it gives you something to live for. If I didn't have any kids and I got shot in the head, maybe I would have died that night. Maybe it was a good run. Maybe I'll do better in the next life. But no, I was sitting there, I'm like, I need to get better for these freaking 2 little baby boys that need their dad.
100%.
And that was probably the biggest motivator in all this, is those 2 baby boys. Just kept thinking about them. Love my wife. She's darling, but she's an adult. She can handle herself. She's very confident, intelligent, attractive woman. She'll figure it out. My boys, they need their dad. And I wanted to be there for them. So that was, and I get emotional talking about my kids. And that was, I would say, hands down, the most impactful motivator during all this is the kids.
I think anybody with kids can relate to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because we do things for our kids. Our lives are no longer ours. Our kids own them.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're doing it right, that's the way I feel about it.
Exactly. It's the hardest job in the world if you do it right.
Correct.
You can be a piece of crap and let your wife do it or your husband do it, whoever you are, and just take a back seat. And yeah, it could be easy. You come home, sit on the couch, drink a beer and watch football or do whatever you want to do. But if you want to do it right and raise your kids good, have a good relationship with your wife or husband and kids, you come home, you help out with the routine, you get in their lives, you play with them, you teach them, you discipline them, you do all the things a parent should do. You don't get any sleep. Like that's what you should do in these toddler stages. That's what you should be doing.
Absolutely.
And I've learned a lot on, it's helped my relationship with my wife. We still fight about normal husband and wife stuff. Like we're not, nothing's ever peaches and cream. But I learn a lot of stuff on perspective. And I do a shout out to moms out there always whenever I talk in public. When I was a police officer before, I'd come home and that my wife would hold me that standard and expect me to jump right into the kid routine, the bedtime stuff, feeding, cooking dinner, all that stuff. And I'd be like, yeah, it sucks. Like I'm the one at work and I come home and I have to like do parent stuff. Like I just need time to chill out for a second,
Right.
And this is so hard. I have it so much harder. And then getting injured, I'm on light duty. I'm on industrial leave for a year or 9 months. So I'm at home all day with the kids. And now I experience what it's like being home all day with the kids. And now I can confidently say, I think that's way harder than my stupid job. My job working and then coming home. When I go to work and I'm chasing bad guys and I'm running around and doing this, that's an effing break. But when you're with the kids all day and you're entertaining and you're thinking of crap to keep them entertained or from not killing each other, so shout outs to moms or stay-at-home dads or whoever you are. Very tough job if you do it right. As you said,
if you do it right.
If you do it right.
If you do it right. Now, Tony, you mentioned a little bit about training, right? Mm-hmm. What training in your experience, whether it was in SWAT or the academy or wherever, was valuable during your whole experience?
I would say, so I lifted weights a lot, but I got a lot of injuries lifting weights. I did a lot of calisthenics. I did the push-up, sit-up, pull-up runs, all the stuff needed to be an operator type body for a SWAT team. But we could all come in all shapes and sizes. But consistently working out, regardless if it's lifting weights, if it's calisthenics, if it's body weight, if it's cross-country skiing, if it's swimming, if it's cardio, it's the development of a mindset. And I hate to sound cliche, and I know everyone's about the mindset. It's the development of that mindset starting from the bottom, starting from, okay, I'm working out a lot, I'm bodybuilding a lot. Oh, SWAT Academy's in a couple months. I have to change my body type a little bit to meet the needs of the SWAT Academy, push up, pull. So I'm starting from ground zero again for a new body type. So getting injured as an athletic person working out or playing a sport, you have to start from scratch again. So you're always starting from kind of ground zero and reinventing yourself, and you're doing hard things and you're challenging yourself. It's developing a mindset of gaining a bunch, essentially losing it or having to start over again, and then gaining it again. And just that repetitious cycle of whether it's bodybuilding or more athletic type working out, like for the SWAT team, or like I play a lot of hockey. I used to anyway. I have kids now. I don't play much anymore. But it's the mindset you develop, because like I said earlier, when I got injured and when I decided I'm going to walk again, it honestly, it was like no big deal. It was like recovering from an orthopedic injury.
Okay.
Or it was like it was like starting, let's get in SWAT shape now. It's just the mindset. And it's so powerful, the mind.
Right.
If you have it trained before all this takes place. So it's incumbent upon someone, if they have the ability, to start making themselves better now, because you don't know if you're going to get shot in the head. Or when I was at the Craig Hospital, most people were there because they slipped on a rug or on a kid's toy and smoked their head on the table, something super benign. You don't know, you might be coming home from work, you open the door, your dog jumps on you and you crack your head on the railing of your house, right? You just don't know. You can't plan for it. Or you have a stroke. Start planning and working out and stop drinking now, because it could happen tomorrow. But if you're in good shape now, while you have the time, while you have the chance, I promise you, recovery, you already have 50% of recovery done. Promise.
So fitness is an investment in yourself.
Fitness is a huge investment, and it's, aside from having strong family relationships, fitness is the most important thing you can do in your life. If you lump in what you're putting in your body, what you're challenging your body to, it's the foundations of life.
It sounds almost too simple.
Yeah. I mean, God made it that way for a reason. You know, it is too simple, but common sense isn't so common. You know, you get that whole additive.
Right.
But it needs to be done. And on the whole drinking standpoint, I hate to get into that, but I wasn't a huge drinker, but I did drink occasionally. Towards my injury, I stopped drinking a lot. I was only drinking maybe once a month for like an event or something. But going cold turkey, when I got injured, they said, you can't drink anymore. You could have a seizure if you drink. And that's mainly in the beginning processes, but it's like the injury is like an active volcano in there, as they say. So if you drink, it just enhances your chances of having a seizure. So it was difficult in the beginning to not drink at all, especially when you go to an event. But the only reason I'm telling you this is because a lot of people are trying to stop drinking, and it's hard because you can just have a glass here and there. But as you do it a couple times, you don't go to a party, or you go to a party and you don't drink, you drink water, you drink a soda water or something. It starts to become easier. It's hard at first. You feel awkward. People don't come talk to you because you don't have a beer in your hand. That actually happens. So if you have like that liquid death stuff, it looks like a lager.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like some kind of beer. I'd have that. I'd drink. People come talk to me. They wouldn't notice I wasn't drinking. And then you leave the party, and then you're super hydrated. You can go lift. You know, you go run. You're not hungover the next day. It gets easier and easier and easier and easier and easier as you do it. It's hard at first, but it gets easier. And then after a while, like, I don't really miss drinking anymore. I used to love to party with my buddies or drink and play video games, or, you know, when I would go destination with my wife, have a couple glasses of wine. I used to love doing that, but there's so much science that's coming out about how bad alcohol is for you in your brain. And I feel like the younger generation is locked onto that, I hear. But a lot of this, you know, being healthy is just quit drinking and being conscious of what you put in your body, and you'll be a healthier person and a happier person as a result.
Just starting there.
Sobriety.
That is a right step in the right direction.
And it compounds, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not drinking anymore. You start losing the weight in your face. You start looking more cut. You're like, oh, let's go to the gym. Your gains are better. Your blood pressure goes down. You go for your routine checkup with your primary. She's like, wow, your blood work's great. You don't have fatty liver anymore. Like, I got $1 million life insurance policy. But they had to test my blood and urine. They did the whole thing because they're like, you got shot in the head, so we don't really want to give you this policy. But they tested me and they're like, you're like the healthiest person ever. Because I hadn't drinking like a year and a half, no tobacco. I've been conscious when I put my body hydrating. So like, you're like the healthiest person ever, except that you don't sleep because you have kids. But yeah, that's compounds.
Double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you tell since you're a sergeant and, you know, you have a squad or you have people that you're kind of guide on the department, what are some of the wisdom that you share with them?
I try not to bring my situation into their lives, because I was a PO2 and a PO1, and I'm still super young. I'm still super green in my career. I promoted early, but I had my fun. I got into my scraps and my fights, and I got my good arrests, and I had my fun. I promoted. It's not about me anymore. It's about my people. So I don't want a spotlight on me at all whatsoever. If anything, it's my job to make sure they have what they need and to make sure they enjoy coming to work. So that's, if I could have those two things as supervisor, they have what they need to be safe and to do their job, and they enjoy coming to work. So that's the type of, so I try not to get in their business too much. And they know who I am. They know my background. But when I talk to them, usually it's on a side note. Like I have an officer who's might be going to a different division right now. And I try to send him off with some words of wisdom, like, don't take yourself too seriously. Your family really is the most important thing. Mm-hmm. Stay physically fit, have that fit mentality. And that's kind of where it stays. It's just be a healthy person and don't take yourself too seriously. And the most important thing is what's hugging you when you come home. If that's the only takeaways they take away from me when they leave my squad or they go home, is let's go drink some water, let's stay fit, and let's give my kids a couple extra hugs and kisses and play hockey with them in the street, more, then that's, and they enjoy coming to work because I'm not an asshole and I don't micromanage, then I think I'm doing my job.
Yeah, I think you are too. I mean, helping people be a better version of themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think as a teacher, instructor, supervisor, leader, that's our job, right?
Yeah, because we don't know everything. I definitely don't know everything. I'm not an expert at a lot of stuff. And I have smarter people on my squad and smarter people that work around me. It's just my job to elevate them. Being a new sergeant, I might go to a different division somewhere or a different unit somewhere that I have no experience in. But what I do have experience in is just making them happy at work and making them, being a resource for them. And that's my job now. It's my job. And I can find the answer with ChatGPT or AI. I can figure it out, without them knowing. I'll get back to you, but really it's just ChatGPT. And this is the answer, which is something I do a lot. But if I can make them happy and have resources and make them healthier people, then I think that's it right there. That's the money.
They're like our children.
Yeah, it is like exactly.
Yeah, just like that.
Some people can't work with other people, and you get in the whole supervisor people business, and the job changes dramatically, and
it can't change.
It can change, yeah.
If you let it change you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try not to, but.
Let me ask you this, Tony. What's your go-to workout right now? Like if you're pressed for time because you have the kids and, you only have 30 minutes or maybe, less than an hour, not a lot of time. What's your go-to workout right now?
It's push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups. So the pull-ups, I'll do the alternating grips,
Okay.
I'll start at 10, like 10 reps, and then I'll alternate my grip and do 9 reps, alternate 8 reps, alternate 7 reps, and I just go down the ladder.
Okay.
And then I'll do like 10 sets of 20 push-ups, and then I'll just mirror that with sit-ups, and then I have a cable machine, and in between those, I'll do cable stuff just to get a pump,
Just to get the blood flowing everywhere.
Yeah, if I just have a half hour, it's that.
That's a good workout.
Yeah, push-ups,
that's a lot of pull-ups.
It's the meat and potatoes, yeah.
What is that, 55 pull-ups or is it 45?
Is that the math?
I don't know. I'm not a math person.
I'm not a mather either.
No.
If I wasn't before, I'm definitely not now.
Well, I heard that if you become a cop, it's because there's no math in it.
Yeah, it's true.
It's probably true.
The math doesn't math, as we mentioned before.
We heard that earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true. That's why we have phones. That's why cops are always on their phones. They're either looking at BWCs or they're doing math.
What others did wrong.
Yeah.
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 Let me ask you this. What would you say to a younger version of yourself, like just starting out the academy? What advice would you give that cop? Knowing what you know now.
I'll try and trickle in work stuff and this recovery stuff. So knowing what I know now, starting off my new command, my new division, and this is very particular, I would get really good at answering the radio, get good at responding to radio calls, support your team members. Don't go do proactive stuff yet. I would get really good and confident in radio calls and learning the crimes and this and that and supporting your people. and supporting the ones around you and being a good team player. Do that for a while. Do that for like maybe a shift or two. Our shifts are 4 months, so maybe 2 shifts, and ride alone. Don't king up with somebody. Maybe the first day, king up with somebody. But ride along, because when you ride alone, it forces you to figure it out. Like my wife said, it forces you to figure it out. When you're there, it's just you and you have this complex problem in front of you. Any 2 officers can basically handle anything, you know?
Right.
And you're getting 50% of the payout from each call. When you're isolated, when you're alone and you're forced to figure it out, then you're getting that much more of a payout from each call. So ride alone, get good at the radio, support your team members. My leg's numb. It was caught in this chair. I was trying to get it out, so I finally got it out. And then once you're good at that, then start being proactive. Be super proactive. Pull over as many traffic violations, or try to find as many bad guys proactively and legally as you can, while still supporting your team. And then when you go home, shut it off. Don't take that stuff home with you. Go home, love your family. If you don't have a family, make a family. And when people present hard things in front of you, like, hey, there's this opportunity, just say yes, just do it. Especially when you don't feel ready. When you don't feel ready for things, that's when you need to take yourself out of your comfort zone. You need to challenge yourself. Because if you sit there stagnant and you only do what you're comfortable doing, you are not going to grow. So do things that are uncomfortable to you, and do things that are going to teach you something when you fail at it. And it's okay to fail. And then primarily, on top of all that, do not take yourself seriously. Because if you take yourself too seriously, if you show up at a command thinking, oh, I know this and that, I made this many stops, I have this on my resume, then you're going to have to maintain that high expectation. I'm just God's gift to the world.
Right.
And then when you don't, you're going to crash and burn because you're like, oh, everyone knows that I'm a fraud. You know, don't take yourself too seriously, because also, I forget what it's called. I think Jordan Peterson had mentioned it. I don't know if you ever listen to Jordan Peterson.
No,
He's a psychologist or whatever. He's pretty big. If you imagine a big square, I'm going to turn this way. If you imagine a big square, like this TV is the square, and if you imagine that your knowledge of the world and everything in it takes up 90% of that square, then you have no room to learn anything new. But if you're humble and you don't take yourself too seriously, and you know that the depth of your knowledge only takes up a small square, you have all this room to learn new shit and to experience new stuff and to grow, because you know there's so much out there you don't know. And then you can really grow and listen and learn, and you're eager to listen and be humble and learn and grow. But if you think you know everything already and you're arrogant, then you're not gonna learn anything. You have a bad attitude and you're gonna get salty and no one's gonna work with you. So just assume you don't know shit, because you don't. As a new cop, you don't know anything. Don't take yourself too seriously, because if you don't take yourself too seriously, you're going to be more eager to go do things, because you're not going to be embarrassed when you fail at them. You're going to say, that was great. I failed at it. Now I know I shouldn't do this next time. So if anyone got anything out of what I just said, it's that.
Well, you know, if you don't take yourself too seriously and you don't care what people think about you, right? That makes sense to me, because earlier you said that the most important thing is family anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, you know what? Don't be embarrassed. Mm-hmm. Don't be ashamed. Do what makes you happy. Who cares who's watching? Because at the end of the day, it's only the people that are near you that matter.
With a grain of salt, do what makes you happy. But you got to support your wife and you got to support your kids. And you are going to have to make a lot of sacrifices for them. There's a lot of things I would like to do. I like to go play hockey and I like to go do this and that, but there's a lot of things you have to sacrifice for the betterment of your wife and kids. And even at home, you can't take yourself too seriously. Hey, babe, Mom, I'm a big bad police officer, security, or Sergeant SWAT. Everything I say makes sense. No. When I get home, I'm I'm at the bottom of the totem pole, just next to the dog, which is
Know your place.
that's your job as a man, as a husband and a man. You are there for what's needed, to protect the family and to make everyone happy and healthy.
Yeah, feel secure.
Sacrifice. Yeah.
One last thing, Tony.
Shoot.
What's next for you?
One, I'd be an idiot not to monetize this gnarly miracle that happened to me. So I'm trying to get into public speaking. I'm trying to get paid doing it. Also, my wife and I, we own a company out in Florida. It's a golf cart rental company.
Okay.
Anyway, we're trying to build that up. But also just on this topic, trying to build up this brand, which my brand is Bulletproof Tony. I have an Instagram. I have a website, which can be found on my Instagram. Getting into the public speaking space, I can cater this conversation basically for wellness, resilience, motivation, and perspective. What's important, family, or even medical stuff. Like what really helped to really, because there's so many different conversations that we can have with this. Like
Absolutely.
the medical side, the neurological side, the extra specific workouts I did, brain swelling, like specifics, to this traumatic brain injury. The kids, the wife, what she went through. And I wish she could be on a podcast to tell her side of the story, because I'm fine now. I don't really have anything going on traumatically. I don't have dreams.
Right.
She's the one who's still suffering. Oh. It's contagious. She had it a lot worse than I do. And if she could talk to some other parents or some other wives or significant others that, their husbands or wives went through this, she would be a huge resource and a good benefit to them. So I'm trying to maybe elevate some type of nonprofit that she can be really involved in. And because she's a huge help and a huge resource, just her perspective on things. We're looking into that. And then also just at work, staying on the SWAT team, maybe moving into investigations at some point, promoting, just following the normal course of a career at the San Diego Police Department, which is a great police department to work for. It's awesome. All my bosses are great. I love all my bosses. So happy for keeping me employed and paying me. You guys are great. You guys do all the correct things. But yeah, that's the next step.
That's the plan.
Yeah, trying to capitalize on this and then just doing good at work.
I hear your words, capitalize, but really, you know what? It's needed. It's needed. Your story, your wife's story, is needed, because those two stories together heal a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, not just the traumatic brain injuries, but PTSD, anybody that's a first responder that's going through PTSD, anybody that hears your story, just the story of the mindset and resilience, it's going to help them. Yeah.
And she would be probably a better resource on a podcast than I would if anyone's watching and they want a female's wife's perspective with two kids who got woken up at 3 a.m, saying their husband got shot in the head and the two babies are upstairs. She taking care of the whole house, moving us all to Colorado, maintaining the boys while fixing her husband. She's the rock in all this, and she has a very unique perspective that I think a lot of wives can relate to or would love to relate to if she had the chance to speak her story on it.
Well, it's valuable.
Yeah.
And love to have her here. But you know what? You guys, your story needs to be heard.
Well, thanks for giving us the platform.
Well, Tony, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it, man.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, brother.
Thanks, brother.
Good to see you, man. All right.